What's up, everybody? A Sparrow with a Gun here from Sleepless Nights with another episode on the Space Engineers Programming 101 series. We are back working on the Sleepless OS again. In the last episode, we got our system working somewhat in terms of... I can't ever find this back button. We can move around our inventory system. Oh, wait, that took us all the way back. Must not have been run. That's probably what it was. It wasn't run since I opened the world save. That's what it is. And we have our system to where we can display all the blocks that have an inventory in them. We can show... Oh, dang it. That's the one that didn't work. Whoops. Alright. Well, oh well. So there's a couple things that I want to do and go over, but first I'm going to switch over to Visual Studios to make things a little bit easier, and we'll go from there. Alright, alrighty. So, here we are. I copied all of that over to Visual Studios, so we got it set up here. Alright. Oh, and it saved all of this. Sweet. Or wait, no, maybe it just defaults to doing that. Never mind. I might not have done anything special there. Let's collapse all these because we're not going to be using them right now. Update selection, right menu displays. We don't need individual. Okay, so these are the two we want to work with at the moment. Okay, so first of all, let's work on this one here. There's a couple of things that we can do. Right now it works, so what I'm actually going to do is copy all of this, and then we're going to comment it out and then paste it down here. And the reason I do that is so that we can work with this, but we have a backup copy if this doesn't end up working. Because what I'd like to do to make it scrollable is we need to have a controlled system to know what the function is, or not what the function is, what the amount of lines are. And right now we have no good way of determining that without having to re-break the string and all that kind of stuff. But an actually really good suggestion that I got in the comments of the last episode was to convert this to a list of strings. And so we'll do a new string list. Now, what we can do is, instead of doing it this way, we can do block items dot add. Since it accepts a string anyway, that should then work. Same thing here that we can do. Instead of the plus equals, we can just switch this up. Oh, I hit the insert button. I was like, why does the cursor look weird? And same thing here. Now, this is going to pose a little bit of a problem here. And some of you, and this is more of a test at the moment, this may not be the permanent iteration that this is done in. Because truth be told, a better way to do it would be to leave off some of these new line characters and stuff and literally put the strings together itself. But, not a big deal. So what we're going to do here is we're going to need another for loop. And we're going to do... I could probably do another I, because that's outside the original loop. So we'll do it that way. I equals less than block items dot count. Okay. No. Like this. And then we're going to remove this and paste this in here. Now, what we're going to do is say block items at I.toString. Now, again, it's already a string, so it shouldn't be a problem. But I just like to make sure it's a toString anyway. This is already set to append, I believe. Yes. So it shouldn't have any problems there. Yeah. So that should actually fix it to where it's repeating it in the same way. Now this doesn't actually help us know the line, the line section. So what we're going to need is another. We're going to need another option up here. I'm trying to figure out where I want to put it. That's why there's like debating and stuff, is I'm not really sure where I want to place this. Let's do it under displays actually, and we'll call this display settings, maybe. And we'll do total num lines. We'll default it to 0. Let's bring this line back up. Okay. So now we have a value for the number of lines. And what we can do is after this is done, so we can say compile individual inventories, and then we'll say tally, or compile. I like compile, it's a nice computery term. Compile total number of lines, and for here we're just going to put total num lines equals block items dot count. Okay. Display items, or inventory. Summary, I guess. And just for thoroughness, individual inventory. Summaries. Okay, so now what we have to do is determine how we move up and down the thing, up and down the list. Now this part is going to be a little bit tricky, because we're also going to need another variable. I might want to make these a float. No, it won't matter. Current number of line, or current line. Let's try current line. I don't know, because there should be a top one, but there also needs to be a bottom line. Let's just say current line for now. So current line defaults to 0, which is fine. But I'm going to need, that's all set up, what is it, update selection. So here's our primary menus. I need submenus. Okay, so under individual inventory summary, currently we just have a back button. We don't need a select, but we do need an up and down. So let me grab these. Oh, okay, I did them as an if statement. So input equals up if input equals down. All right. I'm pasting this in just to give me an idea of what I want, but I'm not going to keep it there. So if up, we need to check for the current selected. So we go, well, no, I could probably include that in here. No, I need a separate one. The reason being, if for those of you that may be wondering, if I put the what I'm about to do down here, is equal. Let's put it as, let's move it at like 4 lines at a time. Let's try that. So if it's less than 4, less than or equal, no, less than 4, we don't want to do anything. Or maybe I should put if it's greater than. Yeah, let's do that, because then I don't need a separate if statement. So if current line is greater than 4 and you hit up, we're going to say current line minus equal 4. So theoretically what that should do is if you press the up button, but see if I put it up here, well, actually it wouldn't matter. The way I have that set up, it wouldn't matter. I was thinking it wouldn't call the right, it wouldn't call the line here all the time. And so if there was an option where it wasn't meeting the current conditions, I was going to have an else. Like if current line is less than 4, don't do anything else, do this. But now that I'm thinking about it, we can just do a current line of 4. So if it's greater than 4, or maybe I should do greater than or equal to. Yeah, let's do greater than or equal to. Because then if it's equal to 4 and you hit up, it'll take it back to 0. But if it's less than, it won't do anything. Because up is going to, yeah, okay, that should work. And then if down, and we'll put, and current line is less than total num lines. Then we're going to do current, current num lines minus 4, since we're working in increments of 4, and we'll do a plus equal. Now, there is a problem with this, and I'm aware of it. It's not something that is lost on me. I'm just debating on how I want to solve the problem. The problem that we're going to run into here is that if we use this at all to work with it, eventually we're going to hit a point where, well, I don't know if it'll be a problem or not, actually, because I was thinking that we don't know the length of the screen, and because we don't know the length of the screen, we can't know how much it's going to have to display, but I guess the screen itself should be able to take care of that for us. So what we're going to do, instead of using, I know what we can do. We'll set this to current line. There we go. So if it's equal to I is equal to current line, so from current line, it loops through, does the iteration, yada yada yada. And then if you press up or down, it's going to change the current line value. Okay. Truth be told, we could actually, I think, I can't say for sure, but I think we could actually copy and paste this code, this structure, into a couple of different areas and just use it as a navigation system. We don't need multiple variables. We just need the total line and current line. Theoretically. Oh, one thing that we'll want to do in that case is when we hit back, we'll want to set current line to 0 and total to 0. The reason being, these are global variables. So if we don't change them, they're going to stay the same. Now, total number lines is almost, I don't really know if I need to do that. Current line, I know I need to do it because that way it defaults to the current line. But I don't know if I need to do it for total line or not, just because total number is going to be reset the next time we have a screen like this that we're going to walk through what we need to display. Don't know if that's necessary or not. One other thing we could do is total number lines. Actually, I don't know if that's necessary. That might be a redundancy. What we should. If total number lines is equal here. All right, let's walk through this a minute. So as soon as we press if it goes through, it's going to be in a case of one of these, and if we press the select button and it's on that menu, it's going to set it. Then it's going to loop through, and when it loops through, it's going to check this, and whatever it is, it's going to display. Now, it's going to pull this number. Now, the next time we do it, if we hit up, it's still going to be in the same state, but we've changed the current line, so it goes through. Yeah, that should be fine. Theoretically, that should be fine. It should work. All right. Moving on. So we're going to move on to this section here. Now, we obviously tried this code, which was something I had gotten off the... Oh, wait a minute. No, hold on. Let's new item. How did I do it up here? Okay, so we're going to basically copy this. I did copy this, actually. But tell you what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate this newer one up here, because it is in fact how we want to set up this stuff anyway. We just have to do it this way. Sorry, that didn't make any sense. I'm trying to think and do at the same time, and it doesn't always work out very well. What I was basically getting at is this was an older backup version, but there's a newer way to access inventory items, which is how we did this one. You can do it all in one line, basically, instead of doing all of this. I had this here in case I needed it, and this setup didn't work, but since it does for the other screen, we're going to try and do it this way too. Now, the trick here is in this part. We want an overall block item list first. So we're going to have to add a separate step here. We're going to do compile inventories for display is actually how we want this one set up. Now, block items is going to be used for all this, but we want to give us some space here. So this part we don't need because we already have access to the inventories via this system. However, we do want this kind of part because what this is going to allow us to do is look for duplicates. So, where do we got? All items is the item. So we're going to want in all the inventories, which we have here, so we can do that. Add current inventories items to list. So for INT... Okay, so all we really need to add, I take this back, all we really need to add is a separate if statement to check for duplicates. The rest of this should work. So we have items, which gets the inventory for this block. But what we want to do... I apologize for some silent spots. I'm trying to read through my code up here. Alright, so okay, here's what we got going on. There's two separate lists. Alright, so I was right. Let's just tab this down for a minute. So let's make two lists. My inventory item, all items equals new list. What I'm going to have to check is if the single item for that inventory list is inside here. It is. Okay. So we're going to want to put this inside a for loop. I just had them declared as vars, which I might do. Yeah, I might do that. So let's try this. For int I equals 0. Oh, and I had access to... Okay, I can do that. Grid terminal system dot blocks count. That'll give us all of the blocks on the grid. And then what we need is if grid blocks at I get no, has inventory. Nope. Has inventory. Now we actually paste this in here, but what I might do, like I said, is I might do this as a var item, but we'll do it the new way, which is blocks at I get inventory. We'll start at 0, get items. That should populate this as a list of items because it returns lists. So that'll work. It'll save us a little bit of space. Now with that is where we do a new loop. Let's do I2 again, equals 0. I2 is less than items dot. Oop, nope, no, what are you doing? Item. Ah, that's the problem. Items dot count. And I2 plus plus. There we go. All right, so in this, now what we want to do is we want to check the list that's going to hold all of the items by saying all items dot exists name. Now this is weird. I'm not too familiar with this. This was actually a code that I got off of a forum. It's using the subtype name to compare items within the list. What I mean is weird by this is this. The best overloaded mat. Wait a minute. All right, hold on. Yeah, it's there's a name for this kind of function, though, and I can't remember. I wish I could remember what it was so that you guys could look it up and research a little bit for your own if you're interested in it. But they're like a I want to say limbo or lerp or something with an L. There's some kind of L function that uses these operators, and you put like the variable name, which is what it's like. It's the predicate or whatever, and then it searches. Yeah, it's really weird. I wish I could explain it, but I really don't know that much about it. But anyways, I know that this line, I got it off of a forum, and I've tried it before in my codes, and this will find if there is an instance of that name, which is the subtype name, in whatever item you're looking for. So that's important. So we'll do all items dot index of all items find, and we're doing the same thing, which again I wish I could explain more about this kind of function, but I can't recall what it's called, and I have very little experience with them. Subtype name amount plus equals items at I2 amount. So what this is really doing, whether it's using these weird functions or not, let me close this out real quick. Else, we don't need curly braces. Okay. Now this should work. Why is this not working? Best overload. Interesting. This worked before. see if it... Yeah, it does flag. Weird. Weird, weird, weird. An ambiguous reference. We'll have to try it. We'll have to try it and see if it actually works or not. They might have changed it to where now you can't do these kinds of functions. When we switch back over to the game, I'll have looked it up in between there, and I'll tell you guys what kind of function this is. I can't remember the name of it though. It's basically like you're telling it this is the blank variable that I want to look for, and it's of a certain type. And then, you know, content subname, and then it compares it to what kind of object it is. But I can find another way to do it. I think, maybe. System collection. Wait, what is this from? System collection, sandbox API interface. Because I have a flag up here, but it's under object builders, not the mod API. Weird. I don't know. We'll have to try it and see if it runs. If it runs, I'm not worried about it. So anyways, what it's looking for is it's going to loop through the object. And then because items has all of the inventory for this inventory, then it's going to go through and say if the object already exists, then at that index, so at the index of this item where you found it compared to this list, take the amount and then add it to the amount that already exists at that instance. So we're adding this current items amount to the all items list amount. Otherwise, you're just adding a new item to the list. So that way that by the time you get down here to where we're compiling the string, now we actually have a list of all of the objects, but we don't need to do this part where we loop through each block. We can actually just display the names and stuff like that. So what we're going to do here is change this, instead of block count, we're going to do all items count. And while we're... No, I'll keep this the same. Okay. So we don't really need all of this at all, actually. We can just do block items add. We don't actually need this at all. Now that I think about it, we can just put in... we'll keep all of this as one, and we'll just put in all inventories summary, right? Is that what we're calling this? Total inventory summary. That's what it is. Total inventory summary. And then let's just add some lines here for spacing, just because. And I have a theory that I'm working on, but I have to test it first and see if it'll work. But I have a theory on being able to calculate how wide your screen is and adding these dashes and stuff appropriately and centering the letters and stuff. But I have to work it out in my head and actually do some testing to see if it'll work. But it would be cool. And we should, yeah, we can shift tab. I totally forgot about that. We don't need that. Okay. So what we need to do, total inventory summary, loop through, I don't know that this has to be a loop. Well, we need to actually add this outside. Then we don't need a loop here, because what we're basically doing is just going through and adding the item. So we're going to do all items at I, and it's going to give us the name, and then kind of like before, we're just adding in the string for the subtext or the amount and everything. We'll space that out a little bit, and then that should be the. Actually, for this, I don't want to put that in there, so we're just going to. Actually, we don't need this curly brace now. There we go. We do need a semicolon there. That would help. So we can still do the total number of lines from block items count, blah, blah, blah. And we could rename this easily, like display items. Let's do that, actually. And then we'll just go through and all the spots where we need to change the name. There we go. And that should be fine. I don't think I need this for anything else, so we'll go ahead and remove that, because I already have what I need. It's just whether it'll work. And we'll keep this here, but I'm pretty confident that this will work. Alright. So what I'm going to do is we're going to switch back over to the game. Let me go ahead and select all of this. And it's important, if you're working in Visual Studios, do 2 shift tabs to where your global variables and everything are out towards the very edge. Then you can copy, tab it back, and paste it back in that way. You can do it this way, it's just everything will be spaced kind of like this in the editor in the game. If you want it up against the wall, you have to pull it back a little bit. So let me tab over to the game and we will see if this works. Alrighty, it's called a lambda function. Excuse me. I think that's what it's called anyway. It actually is spelled L-A-M-B-D-A. Lambda, that's what I'm calling it. Could be lambda, lambda, I don't know. I call it a lambda expression. And it's basically a portable anonymous function is what it's called, where basically you don't have to write a function for it, but it does things. So for example, in our case here, with all items exists, we're declaring a basically blank variable saying name is going to be our parameter and passing it to the function name.content subtype name. So it's basically saying that you remember that variable we passed into you? Yeah. Pull up the subtype name and basically check it against everything in the list and see if it equals this one's content.subtype name. If it does, then we want the index of find wherever you found this in the list. And if you find it, then we're going to replace it, so on and so forth. And I have great news for everybody. It worked! It worked, it worked, it worked, it worked, it worked, it worked, it worked. So we can move around, right? So we go to individual. Now watch this. When we hit the down button, it moves down. Now, just to make sure though, that seems like a lot of numbers. But it's probably because of how we set everything up in the system to where, like, the first line is 0, and then 2, or 1, 2, 3. Oh, I didn't think about that. It's whatever. It works. So if we hit down, it goes to the large cargo container, and we can actually scroll, which is really cool. Now, it does get stuck here. Again, if we could tell what's being displayed, you could say stop here if this is the bottom, or, you know, if the total numbers displaying is less, or, less than the total amount of lines on the screen. You know, stuff like that. You could add it to where it would not go all the way to the bottom here. But the point is it works. You can scroll back up and check this out. This is not the top of the list, right? But when we hit back, we can now tab down to the total inventory summary. Hit this. Oh, look, we're at the top of the screen. Now, granted, that top line is way off, but whatever. And we can scroll down here, too. How cool is that? Now, we should probably check and make sure that these numbers are correct. So let's find something that's in both areas. How about these rockets? 200 millimeter missile container. So there's 2, so we should have a total of 4. And it's probably under, I'm guessing it's under NATO? Oh, missile container. Hot dog, it works. Missile 200 millimeter, 4. So that's awesome. Is there anything else in that other container? The 25 by 184 ammo is 36, but I think that's, yeah, it's just total. So, oh, here's one. We could look at uranium. We have one. Oh, never mind. Well, that was a poor example. All right, let's put 50 of these in here. All right, now what we're going to do to test this is compare the two. So we're going to go into the individual. We can see there's two 200 millimeter missiles in there, and there's 50 construction components. And then in the small container, we have 100 construction components. It's calling it just construction, but, you know. Now if we go back, and then go down, and go in here, we have 150 construction components. That's so cool! It works! It works! It works! Now, granted, this is not alphabetized or anything like that. That's a whole nother... That's why I said, like, this is kind of stuff that we could do for all kinds of things. What I'm looking at, I never really went over this, but what I'm looking at here is when each of these menus does what I want it to do. Do I have a back function set up for this? Yes, okay. When each of these menus does what I want it to do. It may not be the most polished, might not be the most refined. Refinery status. But, so it may not be perfect, but when it actually functions the way I want it to, I'm going to say that this version is complete, and then we'll move to the next version of the OS. Like, it's at 0.01 right now, so I could probably make it 0.02, because, or something like that, because the inventory summary works. All of these tabs work. You can move up and down the menus. I'm excited. Like, this is cool. That we can actually go in here, move around the menu. If I can... Screw this. You know, you can actually go in here and move around the screen, which is so cool. And then you can actually do the this stuff too. And theoretically, this would work on any ship, the way that I've got it set up. All you would have to do is set up a group with the OS and make sure that the LCD has a main in it. I think? I'm pretty sure. Let's look at that. Set up display. It looks for main. You can have any other word in there. You don't even have to have LCD or display. You could just have put an LCD panel and just make the name main if you wanted to, and then put it in a group called OS. Copy this code into a programmable block and run it. And so far, we're doing good at keeping this very easy to set up. Oh, and of course you'd have to set up a button panel to run up, down, select, and back, and have that run the program. But still, that's all we would have to do. And then we can go in and actually, like, select everything and find stuff. And theoretically, as it stands, you could actually attach this to your ship right now, do what I just said as far as the button panel in the screen and the programmable block, run it, and it should tell you all of your inventories that's connected to your ship, station, whatever. Theoretically. Haven't tried it on anything else. Of course, there's still a lot to do. We haven't even done refinery stuff yet. There's a lot that I'm not sure how to do or if it can be done that I would like to do, like with the refinery status. At the moment, it's probably just going to be some basic, like, you know, display whatever the refinery is doing. Like, if it's running, is it on? Things like that. I might even do that off camera if I have time, and then basically just come in and be like, hey, this is what I wrote and this is how it works, if I have time. And like, oxygen's kind of the same way. I don't know. Oxygen actually could be some fun stuff. Like I've thought about doing more of like what that one code was from the Inspiration series that we saw, where you could actually depressurize certain rooms and things. I like that idea, but for now I think it'll just be controlling, is it pressurized, is it not pressurized? Maybe set up an airlock function, like open airlock, close airlock, stuff like that. Maybe. You know, just things of that nature. But at the moment, I'm trying to keep it as minimal setup as possible. So what I'm really trying to do is things like check the status of the oxygen. Is your ship pressurized? Is it not pressurized? You know, how much oxygen do you have in your tanks? Are your generators running? Things like that. Actually, we could probably go in and change some of that stuff right now. Let's do that. That'll probably wrap up our episode. Is instead of tests, let's work on some options here. So, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Let me put down another programmable block. And let's say, well, no, I'm not going to work on that right now, actually. I was going to test and see what all the refinery had in its detailed info, but I won't worry about the refinery right now. For power, we'll just put like summary or status. And then I want some stuff like max full power, and then like minimal power at least. And what I'm thinking about doing for those may not be things to display on the text screen. Those might be things that we actually do in the code, but it's stuff like turn off unnecessary things, lights, or put on, like, turn them to emergency lights, you know, kind of thing. Like, turn off all but the main ones, turn off your assemblers, your refineries, stuff like that, and just basically anything that's not important, like, shut it down, and you're going into low power. Anything oxygen-related stays on, all your vents stay on, obviously. But that's what I would like to do, is, like, something to where all of the extra power stuff turns off, and then full power would probably be simple. You could just go through, and if something is off, turn it on, type of thing. That one would probably be an easy one. Status is going to be like our power display, like show me what kind of power we have, how much we're working with. I suppose we'll need something for uranium reactors and stuff in here, but that might be... Let's put under... We'll put power status. Under that we'll put uranium status. And what that'll do is it will go through and calculate what amount of uranium each reactor has, and then tells you the total uranium, just so you're aware. You don't have to go through your inventory to figure it out. It'll just tell you. I think that would be a good option to have. Oxygen, let's do, well, oxygen status for one. And then we can do, let's do oxygen farm controls. Maybe that might take us to a sub-menu where we can do stuff with the farm controls. Ooh, another one we could put up here is solar status. And what that could do is tell you if there's any like damaged solar panels, things like that, anything not producing the optimum amount of power, all that kind of crap. And we just came up with some stuff for the oxygen that I can't remember. Oh, oxygen generator controls. Again, this is actually going to be really cool, because what it would allow us to do is basically go through and control your ship. You can activate... Oh, that's what I should have done. Is refinery. Under refinery... Where did it go? Set up refinery. Where'd you go? There you are. We could say refinery status is the first window. Then we could do stuff like... we could do things like enable, disable refinery. Let's see. I don't know what else we could actually do with it. Because I don't think there's a way to actually select items and like tell it to build stuff type of thing. Show all refineries, maybe? We'll leave that. We'll leave that for one. I don't know if we'll actually keep that one around or not. One thing I wanted to change, though, was in one of these, the selected submenu went to something. It went to, like, I don't remember. It went to something, and then we couldn't actually select it in the... Ah, here we go. Maybe that's what it is. No, I don't remember. I gotta be honest, I don't remember. Alright. Run that. Now, if we were to... Oh, wait, that's inventory. So refinery... Refinery status, enable, disable, show all. That's good for now. Power status, solar status, uranium, full power, minimal power. And with oxygen, we've got status, farm controls, generator controls. I guess we could put in a line for tank controls, but I don't know how useful that'll be at the moment. Simply because, other than... I guess you can add it to stockpile or not, and turn it on and off, things like that. Some of that might be useful. I really love how we've set this up, though, that it's so easy to add things. Like right there, now we've added one. Like that's so cool. I figured that might break it. All right. Anyways, that's a good spot to end the episode, I guess. So made a lot of progress. Let me know what you guys think. As far as if there's any suggestions you might have for doing some other things, like actually let me fix this while I'm talking. Doing some other options that you might think of that are like, hey, you could do this with oxygen blocks, or you could do this with an oxygen block, you know, stuff like that. If you think of anything like that, feel free to let me know. I'm always open. I enjoy the idea of building this with everybody, because then we could have more of an all-purpose kind of build, basically, that we would have an operating system that a bunch of people would be able to use because it has a bunch of different functions that everybody wanted, kind of thing. Obviously, there are some exceptions, either that can't be done in the game or that I just don't know how to do. But we'll tackle that when we get there. But feel free to let me know what you guys think in the comments. In the meantime, I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, and I will see you all next time. Peace.